I'm Carmiece Graves, and I practice family law in the Washington, D.C. area.
One of the questions we have to think about, say if you're married and you're dealing with your house and you own it together. The question is, well, we have an asset that we need to deal with. Sunset, they use a band, they come back, they come back, they didn't go, they ain't see nobody, so I kept to know. Not true. Okay, that's what they call me. Are there people throughout history that, despite whatever circumstances, they did what they wanted to do? Welcome. It's Wednesday at 11, and it is Coffee with Carmiece time. I'm attorney CPA Carmiece C. Graves, and I practice family law, Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. Howard Law graduate, Black woman in America of Caribbean descent, practicing Buddhist for 21 years. It's just my dynamic view on what's going on. And most importantly, in my area of expertise, sharing information that may be helpful to you so that we can just kind of get through some of this gridlock, y'all. It is serious out here in these streets. I'm giving y'all the update. This is coming straight from, you want to know what it is behind the scenes? I'm here to tell you what it is behind the scenes, okay? So wait, let me get this thing going here. I got to do something to get the comments popped up on Facebook. You know, they got the complications, you know. So nonetheless, I'm going to get the comments up on the Facebook side in a second. I got to do something fancy, and I want to stay focused and bring y'all into the show, and then I get fancy with the comments in a second. But shout out to anybody, you know, viewing, giving me the likes up. We're here. Y'all gonna behind the scenes. So couple things. I'm not gonna get off of this narcissistic thing. It is not a bandwagon. It is a news alert. It's a news alert. We've, identified a threat that you need to be aware of, especially if you have not done the emotional work that could have you more likely attract one. Okay, it can happen. It's life. No blame, no shame. It's all in the game. It's okay. It's the game of life. We playing it. It's okay. You know what I mean? If you stumbled, you need to pick yourself back up, keep going. That's exactly the mode I'm in today, because I'm going to give you those fresh tips to identify more clearly when you're in the midst, entangled with a narcissist. One of the ones, they will have you so blown and upset. And this is really important because your mind space really creates a lot of your life. So you having control of that, it's the suffering that comes out of these relationships that really is of grave concern. It's like an Amber Alert. Alert. I had to put on the alert colors today. That's how it is. It's really serious. So we're just going to dive into that. It's not a fad. It's not something to get past. It can save you a lot of heartache, money, emotional scars, time lost, lack of joy. I mean, I just got to put it out there, because if you could just avoid it, it would be better. Okay. You are going to have to probably do some, spiritual work, emotional work, therapeutic work to have it that you are not attracted to them. But at least in the beginning, I don't even think it might not even help, honestly, because if you're still really attracted to that kind of being, you might still know that you're in some BS, but not really have the strength to avoid the drama. So at least this can give you some insight that you're not crazy. Okay, you're not crazy. You're in a thing. And one of the telltale signs that you're in that thing, because I was just recently entangled with one. And so these tips are fresh. We're going to go over that. And then I'm going to talk about fathers' rights, not just really fathers, anybody who is coming out of a relationship, want to understand about preserving custodial rights, because sometimes it could be, it could be a lot of variety in how people manage their households. And then if you're separating, a big concern is you've been an involved parent, you want to remain being an involved parent. And then if you do certain things that I want to tell you what they are, you could end up before the court in a disadvantage, with a disadvantage to you being a custodial parent. And if you don't know that, you'll be like, the system don't work. The system don't work. I mean, I can't speak. Listen, we got problems because the system is people, and there's some things not right in our country when it comes to race relations now. So that's how the system are people in the system, So anyway, well, when it comes to custody, it's usually you, the other person, their attorney, your attorney, and a judge. It's not a trial. The jury trial is not for, oh, good morning. Okay, good. I can see comments. So good. I'm not worried about that. Okay. So I want to give you that framework. So, because sometimes, and it's not just men that are narcissists. Oh no, that is not the case. That usually just comes from, dealing with some traumatic experiences through one's past, and anyone could have that. That's just, a part of life sometimes for people. So that does not discriminate between men and women. And I've seen the women, I've had some cases come up, y'all. The women can be vicious. Women narcissists, woo, they might get, I was shocked. I was like, God dang, okay. And really causing a lot of emotional heartache. You know what I mean? So, all right. So we're going to unpack these two parts of the show, and it's going to be therapy for me because one just was in my environment and it was so annoying. So let me give you these tips about what it feels like, because sometimes people are getting into these marriages and you really want it to work out and you are really struggling and suffering. Oh, cousin Winifred, hi, thanks so much for joining. Great, thanks. So you really want to know the framework, at least, so you can get some help, you get in therapy, you know what I mean? Know that you're in danger. This is not going to go well. One of the ones is you feel like you are in vicious arguments where the blows are hard and heavy hitting, okay? That there's no pulling of the punches. You know what I mean? One thing I do not want you to do too early on, I just got to say this and put it out there. Hey, take it for what it is. It's just, I do a lot of case study. I interview a lot of clients. I just keep notes. I've been looking at the trends, been doing my research. My research comes from my cases. You know what I mean? Like coming across this fat pattern over and over and over again. And I interview my clients and understand, how did the relationship come together? Where were you? What did it look like? How did it unfold? Because clearly by the time you meet me, we're at the end of it. So there's a lot of history that has unfolded at that point, and we're at the end. So I've spent a lot of time over the years I've been in practice because I've just been very, enamored with the topic. It's human beings wanting to do a good thing, and now we're here. So like you, I'm like, well, what happened? So I asked that. So that's where the basis of that comes from. And then also, the amount of coursework that I've taken, going on my own personal journey to learn from the masters, like read books, I'm quick on a book. I'm quick. Sister trying to live in these streets and it's tough. So whatever I got to do, I will pick up a book. I will spend money on courses, that's how I'll invest in myself because I'm okay with, there's so much that I know that I don't know in the world. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more to know, I know what I know, and it's a fraction and a really slither, niche area. And I share it with you because it is wide reaching though. So anyway, so just some of the things that you'll feel, you'll feel this sense of invalidation that the person won't even give you. Like if you're in a discussion, it's really annoying to be in a discussion with someone and you're invalidated, right? Like the person won't even acknowledge the point or anything that you said. It's just move on, or why you stuck on that. There's a lot of deflecting, but you feel the most important thing that that you're in a serious situation is how you feel. Bottom line, this is supposed to be a loving, nurturing relationship. And here's the thing, that in the beginning of this, and that's where we're going to leave this at, because this is going to stay a topic, because our community, we have got to get good at identifying these personality traits and moving on, okay? Because one of the first things you're going to always learn is the origin story. Like they call it like the origin story, like every villain or every hero has an origin story. You know what I mean? I'm going to share mine with y'all one day. I've always shared mine. Like that would not be new. Okay, so anyway, so the origin story, what's going on with them, what caused them to be how they are. This happened to me. And in this experience, you could be baited into sharing personal Pandora's box information way too early in the relationship. Like, you don't need to share your Pandora's box to bond. You don't need this. It's no need, because that later on, dealing with a narcissist, you might get cracked across your skull with that Pandora's box, and they don't pull no punches, honey. Because it's just, they've had their own experiences that lead to them being how they are. We're all humans trying to be here, trying to make it, but your job is to really take care of yourself. And sometimes you might not be able to support a person in that way, or save them, or heal them, when you're trying to then also be in a marriage or whatever. Like, how those two work out. Which one are you going to be in? Are you skilled to be one or the, in that, are you skilled in that role at all? So you got to just kind of look and let human beings be who they are, go through what they're going through. We're all going through something. I'm telling y'all know I'm a work in progress, because boy, I'm really deep into my realignment work right now, because it has been trying times, and I want to just share with you as much as I can, so that you can learn and grow from others' experiences. And that's how we become wiser together as a community. So watch those telltale signs. Check in, check that meter of comfort, love, and joy. I don't know why that would be an unreasonable expectation for most of the experience with the loved one. If you're justifying saying that's unrealistic, you should think about that. I'll leave that there. Okay, so well energy, like just sending out positive energy for us to just, take care of our inner beings and do as much, just provide as much well-being to ourselves as we can, because a lot's always going on in the world. It's never not going on. 1 year since George Floyd, like, now they're going to do the sentencing. I mean, that doesn't seem to match up. You know what I'm saying? It don't match up to me. Like, all that went on and is going on, and, the upheaval and everything, the sentencing, it don't match. It don't match. And then it's interesting time with this, not wanting the critical race theory. I don't know. Why is it even called critical race theory? Why isn't it called, like, actual American history, like the truth, like the true history? You know what I mean? Like, why is it a critical race theory? We're going to take a critical look. Well, no, you're going to tell the truth of what really happened here. So what's up? We going to fill in these gaps or not? And folks, hey, my brother's on the line. I got the family happy. Hey, Ava, nice everybody joining me. Thanks so much for the support. Because my family know I was like this. I was on the line early. Like, look, y'all, I'm triggered. But it's okay. I'm going to allow myself to be human and have a process that I consistently employ and will continue to employ, to just know that getting to relief is my responsibility to myself and the world. Everybody wants a relieved Carmiece Graves to engage with. And you definitely need for your attorney to be able to realign quickly, because you are in the throes of it. When you're in litigation, this is the last showdown, and hopefully it can go as smoothly as possible, but sometimes it can be a slugfest, and we'll do what we got to do. We're going to cross that finish line one way or the other. And one way to kind of gauge whether, you win or lose, and there's really not a win or lose in divorce. It's just, did you kind of expect what happens to have happened? You don't really know. And that's why a lot of times we'll tell our clients, let's settle the case, because once it gets to the judge, that expectation, it's a variable, a big one. It shouldn't be a big one, but we never can claim how a judge may read a case, especially if you're dealing with a gray area like alimony or custody, one of the ones we're going to talk about today. So nonetheless, but knowing kind of where you are, knowing your risk, knowing your exposure, knowing the weaknesses of your case, knowing your advantages, and having a pretty good feeling about how this is going to go, for better or worse. That's one thing we can't do. Like, look, I didn't make these facts. I meet them as they are. With custody, we can do some rehabilitation. But some of the stuff, it is what it is. The number of years you've been married, whether the person's worked the whole marriage, whether, they got a good education or not. I mean, some of them facts have been written already. So we're just going to have to kind of work with what we have and mitigate. So most of divorce is like mitigation, trying to keep it together, insulate, protect, and not give away too much, trying to scrap back and have a deficit to make up. And that's why Getting a consultation before you make any significant moves that may impair your rights, critical. So let's talk about this topic that I wanted to discuss, because I'm going to do a video on it later today, so it's fresh in my being and it comes up, and it's dealing with the scenario that if you are in these relationships and it's just not going well, it's not feeling well, you're kind of sick to your stomach just to be there, and you're like, look, I want to go, you know what I mean? Actually, I'm going to go. But you still have minor children that you have been co-parenting and raising and very involved with in the house, and now you're about to not be in the house. A grave sinking feeling could be, what's going to happen to me regarding custody, and how do I maintain that? What can I do? And kind of this, and I know, like, I'm going to talk, to dads just for a second. I know there's sometimes a lot of concern that family court is against a dad. You know what I mean? The system is against, that's one way the civil system is against dads. Well, there's a whole story with child support that I'm not going to get into today. But there's a whole story with child support in that system that has really been developed by just a lot of fallout. Our community here in this country has gone through quite a bit. So how we've dealt with stresses and, dealing with just, y'all know, it's really formed some issues that, make being in one household together difficult, getting employment sometimes difficult, not being able to provide the support, just the stresses, of, what we've been dealing with in this country. But that's people stuff, you know what I mean? So it has caused sometimes, those relationships to be strained from the beginning, dad be absent, and this whole system of child support and entitlements and benefits and welfare and all that stuff be tied together, and it's a mess. So I can understand. And then, of course, the rest of it. So there is this sentiment that, listen, that's not a place for a brother to be, So, but let's talk about it in terms of family law, where I feel I've seen dads do a great job. I can speak to my jurisdictions, you know what I mean, with the right planning. If this is what you're really into, now what's going to happen is if it's not your real intent to be an involved dad, it's not going to probably work out. Okay, we can just do that analysis really quick. Like, if you really wasn't that dad before we started this custody case, you got to really look at that. Sometimes there's this idea that you're going to now want to be involved because child support's coming. That's disingenuous, and people kind of see through that pretty quickly and clearly. So this guidance is more so for people that have been involved. There's great dads out there, great dads been involved, stay involved, raise their kids, just are dads, they're on the scene, they're doing homework, they're doing the school activities, they're doing the drop-offs, some of the pickups, maybe all of the drop-offs, maybe all of the pickups, just been involved. Both parents have been involved, okay? But the relationship, nobody wants to be involved, okay? So now what do we do? One of the things I want to say is that you hear about this standard, the best interest of the child. And I think understanding a little bit, kind of just in regular talk, what that means, you can understand kind of how you got to position yourself to really preserve and, the plan that you want to propose makes some sense, in the line with what's going on in your reality. So first thing is, you are going to have to kind of make a decision about how you want this thing to go once you leave, right? What is your envision? Do you want to do week on, week off? Every other weekend is cool. Maybe you travel a lot. Maybe you work a lot. So maybe having the kids 50% of the time is not a reality for your life. But whatever decision you make, but say in this instance, you're like, nope, been involved, want to stay involved 50%. I don't want to be just on the weekends. I want to be substantially involved in my kid's life. Okay, so fine. All right, so let's go back to the best interest of the child standard that the court will be using most times. Well, there's a lot of factors that go into coming up with what the best interest of the child is in each particular case. Same set of factors are used, trying to extract what's important in that case and make sure the court's consistent in their extracting and analysis of information. Now, what's important to know is that when they're doing this analysis, it's kind of like a common sense thing that I think that you could really grasp without getting down into the, like, you know, this factor, that factor. It's kind of common sense, and it goes like this. If I am the child, so the courts, you're going to say, I want the child to live with me 1 week of the month, every other week of the month, half the time with me, half the time with mom. Court's gonna be like this. Okay, so tell me about how this is going to work. You know what I mean? Say in this example, the child is 10 years old or whatever. Child's in, you know, elementary school, and the child's been in this school, and so the court's going to start to ask these questions to try and figure out whether the plan that you're proposing would burden or stress the child out any more than what they're going to have to undergo, probably as a result of the separation. The court wants to say, listen, I know you don't want to deal with the other parent anymore. I understand you can't stand them anymore. I get it. Break up. Go ahead. But what we're going to do is try and stabilize this child, have them be familiar to as much as they can as possible, their routine be, you know, maintained. If it was good. Now, if it wasn't good, then that's another discussion. But I'm in this scenario where the kids are healthy, they're doing well, they were thriving, I mean, they're fine, right? So in those scenarios, the court's going to be looking at, well, okay, I want them to be stable because it's a kind of generally accepted principle that breakups in the family cause a lot of stress to kids, right? So definitely I think kids should get into some therapy. They got child psychologists and therapists. That's what they're for. Usually this is a big stressor on the kid if one parent is no longer there. You know, they have their own relationship, right? So nonetheless, so the court's going to look at this like, okay, if I look through the, you know, okay, so tell me, what are you going to do? In this scenario, you say, I want to do week on, week off. Court wants to know, okay, so the kid's going to have to, like, can they stay in their same school? We're like, oh yeah, they'll be able to stay in their same school. Like this. Okay, so then the next question is, well, where do you live? Where will you be living? You know, is it now going to be like a 45-minute commute for the kid to go to school? You know what I mean? Because I do want the kid, remember the court like this, I probably want the kid, if the kid's been doing good in that school, has friends in that school, it's hard enough to start at a new school and deal with your parents breaking up. No, I prefer not to put them in that stressful situation or destabilizing situation. So they want to know, where are you going? How far will you be away? You know? They're like this, are they going to be, so what, you live 45 minutes away? So it's 5 days, 10 days out of the month. The kid has to do like a 90-minute commute, like to school and then back up, and it's traffic. I don't know if I like that plan. So that is how the court is viewing what you're proposing and presenting in terms of, if I was that kid, I don't think after a long day, I want to, you know, I don't want to get up how much extra early. Lord knows school already started at 7 a.m. You know, kids be at school early. I'm like, y'all need to bring that down to like 8 o'clock or something. But kids are at school early, and now this kid, because you've moved further away from their school, now they got to commute that long way. Court might be like, no. I think it's best that you see the kid on the weekend so they don't have that long commute. So that's just one example of one factor and how that's looked at. So when you have that information, so it's not really to say, well, I think that's a bad way to look at it. You can argue the wrong thing. Why does that matter? Who made up the study to say that it's generally accepted that kids are stressed out in the car? I play meditation music. You know, my kids is good. We do whatever for the extra 45 minutes. You can make that argument. I say it would be smarter, because the court be like this, look, I think what I think about it. Okay. I say, I don't want to be in the damn car. I don't care what videos or cartoons you got on. I'm tired. I'd rather be in my bed getting some real Z's, you know? So they could say no. So you could make that argument. And I don't think that's the good one to make. And some people make that. And that's when you do the systemic thing. I think it's probably wiser to kind of get, okay, that's what you're going to, let me play this. Let me make sure that I position myself with the information ahead of time. You can position yourself. Be like this, well, yep, I live 10 minutes. I moved on the kids' school block. I live at the top of the street. My kid could I could watch my kid walk all the way to school right down the street. I bought a house right on the street. Okay. That's playing the A game. Knowing kind of what the court is going to be expecting so that you can strategically plan. And this is what happens when you have counsel involved. So, the moral of my story is going to be, hold on, let me put up the information, because I don't want you to mess this up where you could really be in a strong position. And when dads are in a strong position, dads get custody. They share custody. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have a good reason why not, because the court really comes from the position, it's better for kids to have both of their parents involved in their lives. So unless you give me a good reason why not, I'm going to say yes. They want to see dads involved. They want two parents involved. Isn't that what you wanted? Remember, you got married. You wanted to be one happy household, and your kids grow up with two parents. Now your part ain't work out, and you want to be a hater. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not fair. You will find other love. Let these kids have their relationship with the other parent, and it's not always, now I've done same-sex divorces, with kids, you know what I mean? So it's not just mom and dad. You guys know that in this day and age. So that is what I wanted to share with you. That's why that planning and forethought, put it in there. If you want to make sure that you're in a good position to have custody on the other side of the separation, you got to really plan for it. And you might not know there's 17 factors. I only talked about like one, so just know that it's a big deal. And if you want to make sure that you preserve your custody, that you take it seriously. And before you make a permanent move, like, sign a lease for a year, and now, what you going to do? You know what I mean? Now I'm like, okay, I got to work with the fact that, we could get ahead of the game there and make sure that there's a good strategic plan so that you preserve your advantage and you are able to then be in the strongest position possible. Some facts I can't change, but some of those things like the ones that we can, plan for, we need to plan as much as possible. So definitely that's why it's important. If you're going to, probably not be in this relationship for too much longer, you kind of feel it. It's a constant blower. I'm so sorry. And you're, concerned about custody, be sure to give me a call. We can do this consultation and at least kind of brainstorm together, come up with a plan. I give you the legal framework. You give me the facts and come up with a strategic plan so that you can preserve custody. So thanks so much. That's what I have to share with you guys today. Watch out for those narcissists. Y'all watch out, okay? Be careful. Take care of yourself. Tune in. Check in with how you're feeling, okay? And then if, you do that check and you've done everything that you can do and now you want to kind of explore options for an exit plan, that's when you call me. So thanks so much for tuning in. You guys take care of yourselves. A whole bunch going on, all that's going on in the world. There's so much going on. So hopefully we'll be able to meet again next week. Be safe, take care of yourself, and enjoy the weather. All right, take care, guys.
I'm Carmiece Graves, and I practice family law in the Washington, D.C. area.
One of the questions we have to think about, like say if you're married and you're dealing with your house and you own it together, the question is, well, we have an asset that we need to deal with. Sunset, they just abandoned me and come back, they've been gone, they've been gone. They've been gone, they ain't seen nobody, so I guess it's over. Like this, man, you just can't leave. Not true. Okay, that's what they call me. Are there people throughout history that despite whatever circumstances, they did what they wanted to do?